Like every song is like dying alive. Hey, it's Lauren. So we are already at song number 9 total, or then song number 4 in the white section. So we're already there. And crazy. So this song is called Ghost. And I really like this one. This one's definitely about looking back on all the pain in your life and like, why did I experience this? And then asking yourself, like, who would I be if I hadn't experienced that? And then realizing that the trials you went through were for a good reason. And if you hadn't gone through them, the person that you would have just kind of been like someone who just fit into society blindly without thinking. That being said, I wrote this song, I think, not super recently, but still recently, within the last like couple years, I think. And after I wrote this song, when things got even worse, I did get to the point where I'm like, it was a level of suffering where it's just like nothing is worth this. It doesn't matter. I think I was jokingly, but sort of saying like, I've been through so much that I've like lost interest in anything, to the point where even when I feel like I've win and achieved something, I still feel like I've lost. Like I said, if someone's like, oh, all the stuff you went through, now you can be God, I'm like, I'd rather just not exist. So that was rough. And I'm still going back and forth about the painful journey. Like, was it worth it? Am I glad about who I am? Or was it kind of like an unethical science experiment that maybe the results are good, but it's not worth the journey and the process? And recently I've been feeling more into category B. All right, so the first part is, this suffering won't end, I can't escape. So yeah, it's that feeling of I'm doing everything right, I'm working hard, I'm pushing through discomfort, and it's still not working. Even like my escape things I usually use, like television or activities, or that still wasn't working, and so I just felt totally trapped. And then the next part is, I know I chose this life, we're not victims, but was this a mistake? And this kind of speaks to more spiritual stuff, like it speaks to reincarnation and soul contracts and the idea that you choose your life ahead of time, like you choose your parents, all this stuff. And I obviously don't know everything, but I do think it's true. I think like you basically, when you come into existence, into this life, which there are many others, you essentially set up the rules of the game and the circumstances to have an experience, because your soul, your essence is everything. So you have to kind of narrow your perception, which is what a body does, in order to experience things, because other than that, you're everything at the same time and not actually like living anything. And so this idea that like, I'm a victim, well, no, we're not, because we planned the trials and hardships we have in order to grow as a soul and to learn something and to experience and understand ourselves and everything. Every time you experience something, the universe does have a rule of cause and effect that just is. And so, yes, people are victims of their own ignorance or circumstances, but also we have to take responsibility. So it's that mix of like, yes, I'm a victim. Yes, I have empathy for myself for the things I didn't know. But also it's my responsibility to solve it. And I probably did a lot of things that got me into the situation, into bad situations, and trying to find the causes. So I know I chose this life. We're not victims, but was this a mistake? Questioning, is my whole experience of this life on planet Earth a mistake? I wish I didn't come. All that kind of stuff. And I think I'm still wrestling with that. Okay, verse 2. So every one of my goals is blocked in some way. So I wrote this when I was experiencing this kind of blockage. Just, I feel like really, really bad energy. Like, for example, they were trying to transfer my phone number and I had to call like 10, 20 times. It was like months. Like just stuff that should be easy was just became increasingly difficult to the point where I couldn't get anything done. That's just a dumb example, but I feel like I was just putting all of my effort into my goals, no matter how badly I felt, and just getting nothing out of it and just not achieving anything. And I was already like past my max tolerance of how much effort. And I can't tell you how frustrating that is for somebody who's very achievement oriented. It was just, I kept trying to, things like a morning routine and exercise, and then do creative goals. Every time I try to do a creative goal, there'd be a technical malfunction. Every time I try to exercise, there was some kind of random thing in the way. Just everything was getting in my way, so I couldn't achieve anything. And no matter how hard I pushed, I just was reaching obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. That put me in this state of constant just rage and frustration. All right, so next part, I'll suffer any pain just to reach one to feel worthy. When I say reach one, I mean goals. And I was very achievement oriented, so no matter the cost, I would reach my goals no matter how bad my mental health was, my physical health. No matter how badly I didn't want to do it, I would do it anyway. And people glorify that delayed gratification thing, but the way I was doing it was I was so training my brain to reach goals and achieve things in pain that even when I achieved it, I didn't get the release. And the process is horrible. So there was like no benefits. And when I started feeling like that, I feel like that's when my goals just kept getting blocked and blocked and blocked. So I was putting all this effort in. I felt horrible, so the journey was horrible. I achieved the goal. I still felt horrible. And it was absolute torture. And then the last part is just to reach one to feel worthy. And I always had this idea like I can't feel okay about myself until I reach all my goals, because if I feel good about these small accomplishments, well, what motivation will I have to go for the bigger ones? And then I'll be nothing and a failure. It doesn't seem to work, because what you do is you train your brain to never feel okay. And that's what I had done. And it takes a lot to do. It takes fighting every physical and mental impulse to train your brain to suffer and be in pain. And I did that because I thought it would help me be successful. And that's where cause and effect comes in, like I was talking about earlier, because in some way it's not my fault. I was doing what I was told was the right thing, and I thought I was doing what was best to make me happy. And I was wrong, so deadly wrong, and I suffered severe consequences because I basically trained my brain to exist in a state of suffering constantly with no release. And so even though in some ways I'm a victim and it wasn't my fault, like I still have to solve it, and I still have to take responsibility for seeing the law of cause and effect in motion. And the cause and effect was I deny my basic needs and push through. And eventually I'm so depleted that I can't function. And also when I never let myself feel good, my brain loses the ability to. You don't use it, you lose it. It's the same with anything. And what I've also realized is this feeling of being worthy or accomplished, that feeling that we want when we reach goals, which is what we really want. The best way to have more of that feeling is just build the feeling. Like if you're learning a skill like skating, like first you're so thrilled that you can just skate without falling down. You feel that sense of accomplishment. Then you add another. And so you're using that emotion of accomplishment, of strength, of feeling worthy to actually fuel you along and build it. Instead of what I did, which was use fear and pain to make me move. So there's a better way than suffering to move you through. Use those positive bits of emotion to fuel your journey. I think of the logical side as the car and the emotions as the gas. Like you could have your car, your logical side, all perfect in perfect condition, but if you have no gas in the car, you can't get anywhere. Next part. What a failure I am. I'm ashamed of who I am. The reason it hit my self-esteem so badly was I felt like I was putting in more effort and suffering more than people around me and getting less. And it literally felt like the law of cause and effect was different for me because I was putting in so much effort into achieving things that my mental and physical health was just horrific. And I felt like other people, when they felt that bad, they would take a break. So they suffered less and achieved more, and I suffered more and achieved less. And it just seemed really unfair because I was willing to do whatever it took, and I felt like I was doing it. And it just felt unfair. I felt like everything that I had ever learned and read and followed was wrong because it was. It's some of this help stuff is just can keep you in a state of suffering, especially when delayed gratification is taken to an extreme. Now, I believe in delayed gratification. I do. But I took it to an extreme where I never let myself feel good because that's a sign of weakness. So what a failure I am. I'm ashamed of who I am. And the fact that I was putting in more effort and getting less, it made me feel that oh, I'm weak because they must be putting in more effort than I am to achieve more. But I'm doing all the effort I can and still falling short. So I guess I'm weak. There's something wrong with me since I'm way past my max on effort and getting nothing, and then they're getting more. So it's like, what's wrong with me? Why am I so weak? How come I can't handle things everyone else can handle? So yeah, what a failure I am. I'm ashamed of who I am. I basically felt just like a weak, pathetic person that everyone else took the pain. I guess I'm just being dramatic. All right, next part, pre-chorus. I know people say that's not a thing, but I like it because I have 3 verse sections, and this is the one before, and I don't want 3 verses. So it says, show me who I would be without this disease. So I talked a lot about my nervous system dysregulation that I caused it by not allowing myself to feel good. But it's not that simple. There are also some physical imbalances that are contributing to it that, I may have partially caused, but it's kind of like, maybe stress caused a heart attack, but when you have a heart attack, it's a physical thing. You can't then solve the heart attack with just a mindset. The body has to heal, and that's where I was. And the disease had gotten so bad, I couldn't function. I was just suffering. And so it's like, show me who I would be without this disease if I wasn't so sick. And, it's kind of asking God or source or higher self, show me what that alternate reality would be like. And then this is kind of like the person or higher self responding. They're saying, if I pull back the curtain, you won't like what you see. So basically, if I hadn't gone through the things that I've gone through, they're saying I'll show you, but you won't like the person, you won't like what you see. And now we go into the chorus and say what are we seeing when they pull back that curtain of who I could have been if I hadn't gone through this. So music drops out, quiet, it goes, I see her, she's a ghost. And by ghost, I mean kind of my life energy, life essence is just gone, and I'm just kind of like an automaton doing what I'm saying in life. That kind of dying alive motif that I write a lot about that. Every song is dying alive. But then the next part is never really lives, just does what she's told. So this is someone who lives with fear of what people think, and they don't really go after what they want. They just do what they're told, do the quote unquote right thing. And I feel like when someone's just doing that and not being their own person, they are a ghost. They're just really like dead inside and just going through the motions, and that's not really living. Then it goes, there's no purpose to her life. She's done everything right. So by everything right, I mean like everything society told her to do that was right and good and will make you happy. 401k, 9 to 5, college. But there's no purpose to her life. So there's no like deeper meaning for existing. It's just following the rules, doing what you're told. Nothing else. So there's really no reason to even be alive. And then it goes, she's pleased everyone and she's reached those goals. So if I wasn't sick, I would have reached the goals society told me that I wanted or to make me happy, which at that point was like the dancing doctor. I guess it was a dancer and a doctor, which is a fine thing. Like, but considering I hate school, being a doctor is like, doesn't really make a ton of sense. I remember when I was thinking about it, I was like, I'll just be really unhappy for the next 10 years, but it'll be worth it because I'll be a doctor and then my life will be perfect. And then the dancing thing, I went to a performing arts high school and I did dance. And it was mostly ballet, and to be honest, I honestly think ballet is like just really boring, so I didn't really like it. But I was good at it. I went to a performing arts high school, and so I did it, but I wasn't really passionate about it. And I'm glad I have like the training now because I'm doing like figure skating and I've done gymnastics, and like ballet helps with every single artistic sport. But I never wanted to be a professional ballet dancer, but I was going to do it anyway because it was like I had the training and that's what I should do. So she's pleased everyone and she's reached those goals. So if I wasn't sick, I would have reached those goals because the illness wouldn't have forced me to stop, because I'm kind of a force of nature. Like I just, no matter how painful it is, just go, 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 go. And even if my body was screaming at me, I wouldn't stop unless I had no choice. So I got there. I got the goals. And then it says, she feels empty inside. She can change, but she doesn't know. So I'm feeling that a little bit now. Like when I'm reaching goals, I feel empty, and I'm realizing it's because like I train myself to never let myself be happy. And then also the physical imbalances also make it like just kind of torturous to be in your body a lot of times. So it's not just like a mindset at this point, like it's become physical through years and years of torturing myself. I have created a torturous existence, cause and effect, right? She feels empty inside. She can change, but she doesn't know. So basically she's reached the goals that she said would make her happy, and she doesn't really feel happy, but she can't admit that to herself or anyone else. So she just kind of lives in denial and pretends that she's happy, but not. Because she couldn't face the idea that reaching your goals doesn't make you happy, because she's known nothing else and can't imagine any other way to exist. It's the only way she can go on, because she's so miserable. The only way she can go on is hope that the future will be better. And without that hope, there's no way that she could go on, she feels, at least. And then next, she is nobody, a character written by society. So yeah, just consumed with fear and pain and acceptance and approval and validation. And when that's all you care about, being accepted and liked, you're not really your own person with a personality. You're just someone living in fear who's easy to control, who just tries to please everyone around you and follow societal norms, which is the worst. And yeah, character written by society. So I'm just someone told me to be. That was from, what was that movie? Okay, so I looked up the movie. It's The Ugly Truth, like with Katherine Heigl. But remember, she basically is the person that would attract this guy of who someone told her she should be. And that's kind of the energy that we're channeling with this. So next part is, There's no chance she'll change. She'll never be okay. So without the pain and the suffering and forcing me to stop doing this and masking and fitting in and being a quote good person by society's standards, if I hadn't gone through that, there'd be no chance that I would change because I would be too scared to. And then she'll never be okay. So because she's never going to change, she'll never even have a chance of being okay or feeling okay. And I think that's sadder than suffering because it's like there's no movement. It's just on still. Suffering that you put under the rug, suffering under the rug. And it just goes on like that for a lifetime. I'm still not really sure that I'm glad I went through it. I actually do think what I went through, it felt like an unethical science experiment, which is like, oh yeah, maybe you save people in the future, but the experience is so excruciating, it should be illegal. All right. And then this part. This rage at myself, it overwhelms me. So yeah, this anger at myself for not achieving my goals, especially when I see other people achieving them and I'm not. So I'm like, what's wrong with me? I guess I'm not enough. And so that self-critical overwhelms me also because I've used that self-critical voice to literally get me through the day. I used, instead of positive emotions to fuel, I used negative emotions and self-critical thoughts to get me through. And so you combine those two together, I have a lot of anger and rage and self-criticism towards myself that does overwhelm me. And then the next part, but the pain has a purpose to help me love fully. So yeah, the purpose of the pain is to get me out of that rat maze thing, trap, metaphorically. I don't know. I feel like I'm not remembering the actual metaphor. But basically when you suffer, you're in pain, it makes you get out of the lane that you're in. And you have to do something else because you can't function. And the purpose of the pain is to help me love fully both myself, both other people, both my life, and not put up with things that I don't actually want. And so that is the purpose. But I still think it could have been done in a less tormenting way. I could have learned that lesson in a different way. And I hope other people learn that lesson in a different way because what I went through just wasn't okay. So next part it goes, I won't live as a ghost, dead inside without a chance to grow. I'd rather die than just wake up, live my life, and just do what people tell me to do in fear that they won't approve of me or criticize or reject me. That's death to me, because that's not living. You just wake up, you're in fear, do what you're told, go to sleep. To me, the whole point of being alive is having freedom and choice, and without that, what are we doing? And then it goes, dead inside without a chance to grow. So yeah, I won't live as a ghost, dead inside without a chance to grow. And yeah, so having that life force stripped of you and not having the awareness or the ability to pull away from that fear state, so there's no chance of you growing as a person. So I won't live like that. And then it goes, I am who I choose to be. So if I peek behind the curtain and I look at the two versions of myself, I would choose this version of myself versus the one who didn't go through all the illness and all the years of pain, because the person that I would have been wouldn't be a full person. And I do feel like now I'm kind of becoming more of a full person. But I think if I had to do it again, I would take a third option, the path of using positive emotions to fuel me and love to fuel me instead of hate. And learning the lesson through joy and love and not through pain and fear. And using pain as fear as they were meant to be, which is warnings that this isn't good. And I did the opposite. I used pain and fear as confirmation that I'm on the right path, because the right path is the hardest one, because you have to delay feeling good to ever achieve anything and ever be happy. So yeah, that's the song. I'm definitely still editing. I do it the best I can without losing my mind and without being so dysregulated that like when I stand up I feel like I'm gonna black out. So like it's not gonna be perfect, but I think it's a better lesson for me to release it with tiny little things that aren't 1,000% perfect than to just wait until it feels right, because I do have some trouble with that perfect moment syndrome of it's not the perfect take, it's not the perfect time, I don't feel well enough. So I need to get over that, and the details will come, and just realize that the point of all this is to capture who I am in the current moment. So this is who I am. I've got some flaws and I'm not going to apologize for that. So thanks so much for listening. I can't believe we're already at song 9. I'm going to do this one and one more to close out the rest of the year. And then I think in the beginning of the year, I'm going to try out some other kinds of content, cross promotion, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll get back to this because I've got a lot of other sections. So anyway, thanks so much for listening. See you later. Bye.